basic of quality concept. So last week we already learned about the quality concept, the definition of quality, but this week we are still learning about the definition of quality in a different perspective. Okay, in business term, quality is being defined as a measure of excellence or a state of being free from defect, deficiency, and significant variation. So this is where I get from the business dictionary, stating that the quality is defined in the terms of its excellence or states that is free from defect, free from deficiency or any variation. Okay, so it means here that it needs a strict and consistent commitment that using a specified standard to create a uniformity of product that to the client requirement and makes the client happy. So when the product or the project is according to the client requirement, therefore the client will be happy, and therefore project closure is easy to be implemented. Okay. Besides then the business term of quality, I also would like to show you what are the other perspective on quality. Okay. Different people interpret quality differently. Okay. And some of them, they able to define the quality in a measurable term. Like I mentioned to you last week that quality is being interpreted by people in a different ways, and some of them include the measurable terms. But okay, like for example, when we ask people to define what is quality of the product of or services, a banker would say a service, while a hotel employee will say customer satisfaction. Um, Healthcare, for example, like doctor, nurses, they say quality healthcare is the quality. And if you ask the manufacturer, they will simply say that quality of their product. So as you can see here, they comes with a different definition. And what about quality in construction? How do you define quality in construction? Okay, there's 5 approaches in defining quality. The first one is transcendent definition. The second one is product-based definition. The third one is use-based definition, manufacturing-based definition, and value-based definition, which I'm going to explain to you later. Okay, so again, how does quality in construction is being defined? The first one is transcendental view. Okay, transcendental means from your knowledge, from your experience, right? For example, people will say, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it, right? So you have experienced it before. So when you were asked to define, you say that you cannot define now, but when you see it, then only you can define. All right. For example, like supermarket or shopping complex, they say they use the slogan where shopping is a pleasure. And for airline, they said we love to fly and it shows. Okay, Air for example, everyone can fly. Okay, so other product and other services also use this type of slogan. For example, okay, I'm sure you know this. McDonald's, they use "I'm loving it." Okay, so this is very um, unmeasurable. Okay, I'm loving it. L'Oreal, because you are worth it. Okay, Nestle, good food, good life. And Singaporean Airlines said a great way to fly. But this is promoting their product, okay, by giving this view on transcendental will lead to the client promotion to the promotion of product to the client, right? Unfortunately, this is indefinable claims where you cannot measure. This comes from experience, how you taste the product, how you get the services. Then it cannot be measurable. Okay, therefore, quality is difficult to define or even to operationalize. Okay. And media, advertisement, product selling, they use this approach because of what? They want a competitive advantage. Okay, when they say this the slogan, they actually mislead people to buy the product. Okay, all right, the function of design, production, and also services may find it difficult to use the definition because in terms of quality management, it has to be measurable. Okay. Okay, the second one is product based. Product based is quality is defined as a quantifiable or measurable characteristic or attribute. Okay, for example, when you conduct concreting, you need to if someone asks you what is the quality of the concrete, you will be able to define that it's up to the physical and the mechanical properties of the probably the aggregate, whether the aggregate is the shape of the aggregate, the grading of the aggregate, how durable, the specific gravity, and also the water absorption and other attributes as well. Okay, but and it can be measured so that engineer can design to that benchmark. Okay, so quality in this term is determined objectively. So you can determine your quality based on the standard that you can measure. Okay, but although this approach has many benefits, it also has limitation. For example, quality is based on individual taste or preference. The benchmark for measurement may be misleading. For example, it's all up to the engineer or it's all up to the client preferences. Yeah, so it's quite misleading to benchmark the quality. The third one is user base. User base means it based on idea that quality is an individual matter. So product that best satisfy their preferences as those with the highest quality. It means that it goes back to the individual preferences. If this says that the product is satisfy their preference, therefore the product has the highest quality among other products. Okay, it is rational approach, but it leads to two problems. The first problem is since it is widely consumer or client preferences is widely, and it is difficult to aggregate or it is difficult to measure, right? Because it is wide. It is when you ask people to taste the sample, some people say taste, for example, a chocolate. Yeah, some people say it is bitter. Some people say it is too sweet. Some people say that the chocolate is too much of uh, flavor. Yeah, or some people say they need a flavor, orange flavor in the chocolate, for example. Right, so there's so many preference of the consumer. Okay, if 100 people taste the chocolate, they will have 100 preferences of the chocolate. So therefore, it is difficult to measure. And therefore, it leads to the choice whether you want to be in the niche market or you want to select the most largest number of consumer for that product. Okay. Or number two, are quality and customer satisfaction the same? The answer is probably not. Why? Because one may say that product A is better than product B. Right? For example, I'm showing you a car here. One is Mercedes-Benz and another one is Audi. All right. So some goes for Mercedes-Benz because it is much more comfort. It gives more comfort to the user in terms of handling. It gives it has a lot of features in the inside of the car. Yeah. But some people prefer to use Audi because simply Audi gives more performance better than Mercedes, right? So this is about the user base, how user uh, prefer of the product. Okay, the fourth one is value based. When you talk about value, you are actually talking about the cost, the price, and also some attributes that goes along with it. Yeah, but the main focus is the cost and the price. The consumer purchase decision is based on quality at an acceptable price. So meaning to say you buy a product because of the price. You buy a shoe because of the price. If you have more money, you want to buy Adidas, for example. But because you don't have that much of money, you go for maybe a lower grade product, right? So that is about the value base. Okay, and this approach reflects to the Consumer Report magazine, which ranked the product in two criteria. The first criteria is the quality, and the second criteria is the value. So the Malaysian consumer goods and retail sector always give this every year. They come up with the report. Yeah. So the highest quality is not usually the best value because people goes for the acceptable price. And the designation is assigned to the best buy product or services. So if you go to the report, you can see what are the best product or what are the best buy services. So that is what value-based definition means. And the last one is manufacturing-based definition. It concerns with engineering and manufacturing practice. So when it means that the product has to meet the universal definition, which is the conformance to requirement. Conformance to requirements means that the product is according to the requirement, design, established by design, right? The concept applies to services as well as the product. And excellence is in quality is not necessarily in the eye of the beholder, but rather in the standards set by the organization. Meaning to say, the manufacturer has set the standard of a product, and the product must conform to the standard. Okay, but this approach has serious weakness where the consumer perception of quality is equated with conformance and hence is internally focused, meaning to say that because the standard is set by organization or the manufacturer, it lack in determining the consumer perception, meaning to say the consumer wants different thing, but the manufacturer has manufactured a different thing. Not the different thing, not as what the consumer want. Yeah. For example, the consumer would love to have a soap with a rose flavored or a rose perfume, but the manufacturer has manufactured a product of a soap that may be an orange plus roses. Okay, but it does not smell as roses. Okay, so that is what the consumer perception. That is why consumer perception is very important. So this is what it meant by manufacturing-based definition. Okay, so quality in construction. The definition of quality for construction project is different to the manufacturing. We are different from manufacturing because we are not repetitive. We are unique, right? We are unique because project is unique. Unique means the project is different. For every project, it is unique in nature. Okay, in terms probably in the scope, in the design, in the cost, but it is not the same. Unlike the manufacturing, they are repetitive. The product is repetitive, going to a same process. Quality in construction project is not only the quality of material, machineries, or technologies used, but it also has to do with total management. What is the total management is being implemented in the organization that can lead to the project completion. All right. And quality of construction depends mainly upon the control of the construction. So this is very important because you need to control the project, construction project, so that it can complete according to the specification. So this responsibility, the primary responsibility is on the contractor. Right. Now let's look at what is quality. What does quality means in manufacturing versus construction? In manufacturing, it passes through a series of process. All right. For example, if you are making a soap, it has to go to a process. All right. Material and labor are input through a series of process of which a product is obtained. It involves material and labor as well. And also it is being inspected and tested at a different stage of the production. Any conformance of the product, whether it is repaired, reworked, scrapped, it has to be reported, and therefore proper steps are taken to eliminate what caused the problem. And they also use statistical process control method in order to reduce the variability, to increase the efficiency of process. It means that statistical process control means a method of quality control which employs statistical method to monitor and control a process. For example, this could help the process operates efficiently, producing more specification conforming product with less waste. For example, you use a control chart, you use a Pareto chart that we are going to learn in next topic. But in construction, the scenario is different. Okay, so whatever goes wrong, the non-conformance work is very difficult to rectify because you have, for example, you have a conduct concreting. Once the concrete has matured, you cannot simply take it out. You have to hack it, you have to remove it, and it will involve cost, right? And sometimes the rectification is not possible. So it is different from manufacturing. And in construction, quality in construction is not only the quality of material, equipment, machineries, but the total management approach to complete the project as the scope of the client so that the client satisfied within its budget to be completed within the schedule, and the most importantly is to meet the owner's defined purpose, or in other words, to meet the owner's expectation and requirement. The nature of the contract, therefore, whatever quality that you need to specify, you need to specify it in the contract document. The contract document is where a contract between the user or the client and the contractor. So in the contract document, you have to specify all the specification, all the quality aspect, so that both parties agree and understand. And the responsibility, and also both party understand their responsibility, and has to be specified in the project document. In project document here means the plan, the specification, the schedule, the BQ, and etc. must be in the contract document. Okay, a quality control involves ensuring compliance with minimum standards of material and workmanship in order to ensure performance of project according to the design. So that is why quality control here is essential in the project. And that is why one topic of quality control will be held in one of the weeks in this semester. Okay, minimum standards here are contained in the specification on and documents. And for the purpose of ensuring compliance, that you need to randomly collect sample, and also with that sample, you need to use a statistical method or technique to whether accept or reject the batches or material, right? You cannot simply reject the work or material or the batches. You have to uh, base on it on the basis, uh, maybe on the data that you collect from the site, and you have done the statistical analysis, right? And you find that using the statistical analysis, you find that 80% of the concrete um, has not achieved the strength like what it is intended to. Yeah, so therefore and in the contract document is already stated that more than 50% you can reject the material. Right, so it has to be specified in the contract document. Okay, rejection is based on the non-conformance. Non-conformance means it has defect. It does not the product or the work does not finish according to the specification. Okay, now that you know what is quality, let's look at how can we define quality in construction. Right? Quality is defined as a delivery of products and services in a manner that meets the reasonable requirements and expectation of the owner, design professional, and constructor, including conformance with contract requirement, prevailing industry standards, and applicable law and licensing requirement. Right? So this is by Chang 1999. So responsibility means here is the task that participant, in this case, the project team, such as the project manager, engineer, the consultant, the subcontractor, is expected to perform to accomplish the project objective as specified by the contractual agreement. Yeah, this means that the responsibility of all parties must complete the project according to what is stated in the contract document. In the contract document is already stated what type of standard to use, what code to use, what are the regulatory guidelines to be used in the project. Requirements are what each team members expect to achieve or needs to receive during and after their participation in the project. So I'm sure you have seen this before in construction management ECM 566. So this is the trade-off, project trade-off. Yeah. So if you can see here, this is the scope or the design, the scope of the project. These are the budget, and this is the schedule. And in the middle here is the quality. So it states here that the scope, the budget, and the schedule must not jeopardize the quality of the project. So in other words, construction project quality is fulfillment of the owner needs as per defined scope within a budget and a specified schedule to satisfy owner's requirement. So why is it quality is important in construction? Construction quality affect the project deliverables. So if you in the middle of the construction, if there is a defect or if the project or one of the activity does not meet the requirement, it will affect the whole project, right? That is what it means by the project deliverables. For example, if there is a honeycomb in the building, in the in the column, so and you did not rectify it, it will create a lot of problem when you want to hand over it to the client. All right. As a contractor, there's advantage and disadvantage of conducting quality control in the project. The advantage is when the project completes with a high level of quality, the contractor may win repeatedly of the business or the project, and it can protect the contractor from costly mistakes requiring rework on the job. But the advantage is low quality construction project can damage the contractor reputation and lose the business in future. So the reputation may tarnish and the contractor may not may have a difficult in getting the future project. Okay, let's look at how quality or how the poor quality impact the project. Okay, impact of a poor quality. Impact of a poor quality means it will increase the cost. It will give a low morale to the workers. It will give a low customer satisfaction, and it will increase the risk. It will have you have to rework the work, and lastly, because of all this, your project will delay. Okay, um, this is the iceberg. Okay, this is the iceberg, and this is the top of the iceberg. So, in cause of poor quality, if you have a poor quality, it will reflect the cost. It will involve cost. So, on the top of the iceberg here is what you can see is the visible cost. For example, inspection, warranties, rework, scrap, sorting, reprocess, redo, and so on. But at the down part here, there's more costs involved in poor quality. For example, you have to set up it again. Because of you need to rework, you need to reschedule the activity again, and therefore the scheduling conflicts and the time value of money you loses in that way, unpredictable profit and loss, return and allowances of your workers, the moral loss of your workers, you will lose your customer loyalty, expediting, you will lack in expediting of the work, giving you a higher risk, uh, buffer in inventory, meaning you have ordered materials, but because of rework, you have to hold the inventory. Administration cost, so because of you need to rework the activities, you need to pay more cost to the labor. Second shift, maybe a night shift. Yeah, not only a day shift but also a night shift because they have to do the rework and will takes a lot of time. And loss in sales means loss in reputation of your as you as a contractor. And in terms of customer, they will lose their confidence in you. right? So there's a lot of consequences in poor quality in terms of cost. So this is like an iceberg. Okay, so what are quality processes in construction? So in construction, involve three main phases, or the three main process. The first one is quality planning. The second one is assurance, and the third one is control. All these planning, assurance, control process are to reduce the risk of project failure. And we are going to learn all these three process in the next topic. Okay, but before we go to the next topic, let me just give you some brief introduction on what is quality planning. Quality planning is identifying which quality standards are relevant to the project and determining how to satisfy them. In this case, you need to identify what standards to be used in the project when the project is when the construction has kicked off. Yeah. So how can you? What are the standards to be used? What are the guidelines to be used? What are the code to be used during the construction? What is quality assurance? Quality assurance is evaluating the overall project performance on the regular basis to provide confidence that the project will satisfy the relevant quality standard. So quality assurance, in other way, is how you monitor and control your quality during the construction in regular basis. For example, you need to control your concreting. You need to control your concrete strength for 3 days, for 7 days, for 14 days, for 21 days. So, and following the standard that you have specified in the contract document. Okay. And what is quality control? Quality control is the monitoring of the specific project results to determine if they comply with the relevant quality standards and identifying ways how to eliminate cause of unsatisfactory performance. It means that once you have detected there is a defect or non-conformance of the activity or product, therefore you have to come up with a solution how to handle this defect so that your product or your project can satisfy the client's requirement, can still satisfy the client's requirement. Okay, in PMBOK, Project Management Book of Knowledge, includes project quality management in one of the 10 knowledge areas. Okay, if you look at PMBOK guide, it's spelled out 10 knowledge areas, and one of it is the project quality management. And project quality management is the fifth knowledge area in PMBOK. Okay, what does this mean? Okay, so let's look at what PMBOK has elaborate on the project quality management. In project quality management, it has three main process. The first one is plan quality management. The second one is manage quality, and the third one is control quality. The first one is identifying of which quality standards are relevant to the project and how to satisfy them. So in this case, you have the input, you have the tools, and you have the output. Meaning to say you have to determine what are the quality standards to be used, what are the code standard to be used, what are the guidelines to be used, that are the input, and what are the tools and techniques that need to justify the quality standards, and what are the output of the plan quality management. On the managing of the quality here, it also involves input, tools, and output. This means that it involves in applying the plan, whatever you have planned prior to the construction, in systematic quality activity to ensure the project employs at the processor's needs to meet the client's requirement. And control quality is how you monitor the specific project results to determine whether they comply to the quality standards and how to eliminate any causes of unsatisfactory performance. So in PMBOK, they specify all these process to make sure that the project completes within the quality. Okay, and I would like to introduce some just a bit on ISO, because ISO is also involved in quality. Okay, what is ISO? ISO means International Organization of Standardization. It's the world largest developer of international standards. It is an independent, non-governmental international organization where they have 167 national standard bodies. It gives this state of art of specification for not just a product but also services that produce a good practice and help the industry making a more efficient and effective. The standard that I mentioned just now is a global consensus. It means that the whole world has a consensus on the standard. It was found in 1947 and it has currently published about 19,500 international standards, and it covers most aspects of technology and business, from the food safety to computers, agriculture to healthcare. ISO impacts all of our life. For example, if you Google ISO website, will leads you to the standards, and these are among the popular standards. It's being used by all over the world. If you can see, ISO 6 um, involve camera film speed, ISO 8601 on the date and time format, ISO 13485 in the medical devices, ISO 20121 on the sustainable events, so on and so forth. And this is only a part of the standards. Like I mentioned to you, they have thousands of standards which being used all over the world. Okay, ISO standards is important because if you want your product to be certified, you need to follow a standard. For example, SIRIM, they use ISO for in certification of the product. For example, this product is about a design management and construction services for building project. And SIRIM used ISO 14001 2015, which is environmental management system, in order to certify the process of services. That is why it is very important to have a standard. Okay, it is also important to have standard in the project, and you have to specify the standards that you intend to use in the project in the contract document. This is about the methodology, the quality management methodology. As you can see, there's a lot of methods that all over the world have been using. Yeah, and for example, total quality management, Six Sigma, Kaizen, Lean, cost of quality, the top down and bottom up approach, benchmarking, continuous improvement process, balanced scorecard. So, but the most popular one is total quality management, Six Sigma, and Kaizen. Recently, they have developed the Lean methodology, right? So all these is the method is actually helps in the quality improvement of the product or services. Okay, so we are going to learn about total quality management and Six Sigma in the next topic. All right, and your assignments also will based on the total quality management. All right, so I'm going to talk about this more on this in the next class. Okay, so with that, complete the week 2 topic.